So the user creations and roles and authorization objects, how to assign the authorization objects, then how to find out the missing authorizations. So these things we'll discuss, and also the types of users, the types of so users, how many types of users we can create. So these things we'll discuss in the SE0 here. So user, so management here. As part of the user management, here we will use the transaction code called the SU01, then SU10, then PFCG. So there are the there are the some tables we will use for SUIM for the comparison of the users and everything here, and SU24 and 25. So these are the some useful transaction codes for the user management perspective here. So as part of the user creation, users, why we need users in SAP? So to protecting the our SAP systems, definitely. Why without user management, you cannot manage anything, right? So user management is required here. So without this one, so without user management, everybody is logging to the maybe common user. Everybody is connecting to the one user that is called the suppose an example basis user in our case. So someone doing the wrong client copy, someone doing some mistakes and everything, which is creating the some noise in the systems, right? So in case of if you are the individual ID we have, then we can find out who is doing what, then we can disable that ID. So that is the reason individual IDs are the recommended for security purpose. And also unauthorized access. In the SAP, there are a lot of data will be saved, confidential data, financial data. Same as like database level, how, but SAP level also. So SAP, why? Because SAP level also we can view the data, right? Using the SE11, SE16, they are the tables. So using these tables, T codes, we can access the data. So then how can we restrict this one? And also there are the multiple people will work on the SAP systems, sales team, finance team, material team, ledger teams, and basis team, security team, ABAPers, business users, all, then all. So all there are the multiple teams will log into the one common SID and they will do the all the so persons, all the transactions and everything here, their work. So here for them, how to how to segregate the roles for them. Their duties are different, our duties are different. If they are no, if they come to our part, then it will be should be restricted part here. Why? Because they should not use the basis technical related. Then we should not use the security related at some development related transaction codes, and we should not do. Our scope of work is only technical. Then we have to do only technical only here. Then how to segregate it, how to restrict it here, right? By roles, by assigning the role to the users, we can segregate it here. So if you go to the SU01 is the transaction code. SU01 is the transaction code. Here we can create the user, we can log the user, we can change the password, we can delete the user. So all kind of lock, unlock, copy, everything we can do in the SU01 transaction code here. SU01. Suppose you are trying to create the one user here. Suppose like so basis so 110 basis 10 user you are trying to click on the create. You are going to create the user here. Then you need to type the what is the so last name. What is the last name of the user here? Okay. So then so what is the company? So some mandatory details is the department, what function department. So some of the so things you can fill it out here. Some of the things you can fill it out here, right? So then go to the logon data, logon data. So then there is address. This is the the user address. The user address we have filled the details here. Now is the logon data. You need to fill the so types of users here. What type of user is? What type of user is? Is the dialog user? There the five main user types we have here. Five the main user types in SAP here. So one is the dialog user. Then second one is the system user. The third one is the so communication user. the communication user. The fourth one is called the service user. Fourth one is called the service user. The fifth one is called the reference user here. There are the five types of users are there. So five types of users here. So dialogue user, it will allows users to interact with the system through GUI or web interface here. So here users can enter the reports, execute the file. Dialogue users means we are the humans, right? So we users to who are the interact with the system through the GUI or web interfaces. Those are the dialogue users. We will run the reports, programs, transactions, and everything. We are the dialogue users. Dialogue users has the user ID password. Passwords, they have to log in with their password into the system and they need to do their work here. Dialogue users, right? And system user. System allow users means these users are allows to run on the background jobs. Background jobs will run on the one user. So one of the system user. Why? Because this user these users don't require to direct interaction with the GUI. Only system internal communication purpose, they will log into the they will system internal communication purpose, they will log in here. Right? Those are the system users. Normally in the background jobs, in the background job perspective, we will use the system users here. Right? So communication user. Communication user allows to communication for the communication means RFC destinations. In the RFC destinations, we will use the external RFC calls and everything. We will use the communication user. Service user. Service user means so allows a dialogue user. So maybe service levels. Simply service level, we will use the service users here. So anonymous group of users and everything, service users here. Reference user means another type of user. So not much, but most frequently the type user types are these are the two types here. Reference means so another user type. So suppose one manager is on the leave, they has to approve the request. Then they will give the reference user so that by using that reference user, the another person can able to approve the request and leave request and everything. That people is called the reference user here. These are the main user types are there. They are the technical users also there. We are the technical user, functional users, individual users, and SAP users here, emergency users. So there are the multiple users are there. But so the people who are logging to the system with the user ID and passwords, those are the dialog users. So the user which you are going to create, he will log into the dialog or he will just system level he will be used. Is not dialog is the background job perspective. We have to use it means you need to use the system user. Otherwise, you need to use the dialog user. Then you need to enter the password of that user here. Initial password you have to enter it here. Then user group validity. So when was the is validity from today or tomorrow to and next 1 month, 1 year, 3 years, the validity period, account details, everything we have to provide it. So SNC is not required. So defaults, how the logon language of the users here, decimal notifications, how the date format should be the users. Then what is the printer you want to use it here? What is the time zone of the user here? So all the details we have to fill it out. It's not mandatory. But main thing is like a logon data and roles. What is the user role? What user will do in the systems? What type of functionalities you use in the system? So without role, I created the just user I created in the SAP system. User created in the system, right? So now people can log into the now you will share the initial password to this user. Now basis user he will log into the system with the initial password here, right? Then once login, then what type of activities he has to do? What are the transactions he is allowed to do perform in the systems here, right? You are not assigned anything here, just you have only roles creation. Then if you ask user to perform the all kind of things here, if you go to the SM50, then he is unable to access. If you go to the SM51, is unable to access. If you go to the PA30 sales related, so then nothing. So VL02 sales related, nothing. So simple transaction code also is unable to access. Why? Earlier, you created only the role so user created, but there are no role assigned in the systems. No role assigned in the systems here. Then where to create the roles here then? Go to PFCG is the transaction code. So he is not authorized now, right? So, but so why? Because system, if you want to use the one functionality, you require the related authorizations or roles are required. You are only allowed inside of the system, but you are not permissible to access anything in the system here. Then in this case, you need to create the roles in the systems here. So that's the where our security team comes into the picture. They will create the multiple roles here. Suppose Z underscore basis level one team, level two team, or above team, or sales team, like that. They will use the multiple roles they will create in the PFCZ in well in advance. They will create it here. Then they will go to the menu. Then what transactions we have to give to the L1 person. Then those things, those transactions codes, you need to assign it in a manually. You have to assign it here, right? What transaction codes you have to assign. So based on that, so we have to so SM51. So then some 66. So they are the so L1 team, monitoring team, they want to assign only monitoring related transaction codes. Then you assign the only monitoring related transaction code, everything to the user. Click on the assign the transaction codes. Then you assign it. So L1 team, what is required? Related things you can assign it here. Then suppose if you require the some of the reports, programs, some of the BW related things and everything, you can assign it one by one, one by one. Then you can save it, go to the authorization, then generate the profile, change the authorization data, change the authorization data here. Then we can go to, so here you can use the authorization data. Here you can use the transaction codes you have assigned. Then you need to assign the manual selection data. Then you need to assign the so authorization objects here, authorization object. Authorization, what is mean by authorization object? Authorization object is it will give the access to this transaction code, whether display access or full access, only write access, what level of access it will provide it here. That is called the authorization object. So even though you assign the transaction code, you will not able to access this without authorization object. See here, you just assigned the we just assigned the so just transaction code you assigned it. There is no changes in the authorization object, right? Then you can assign this one to the basis 10 user. You assign this role to the basis 10 user. Then now onwards you should be able to access the right. He should be able to access the whatever the roles he has. So whatever the transaction codes you assign, he is able to access, right? That is what the role. So this role you assign it to the user. Now go to so now basis 10 user you logged in. You logged in as a basis 10 user now. Okay. Basis 10 user you logged in here. Now if you use the SM50, so he can able to access something now here, right? Now he is able to access. See, now he is able to access the transaction codes here, right? There is a restrictions. Now, if you go to ST22, so he is able to access, but 22 unable to access. Only limited transaction codes he is able to access, right? Limited things. Next one, what is that? ST02. Limited things you are able to access, right? So why? Because user required the user required the so some other transaction codes is unable to access. Why? Because authorizations you have not assigned. Even though you assigned the some of the T codes, but some authorizations are required. Some authorization. Suppose like SU53. If you assign this SU53, then generate, go back. Okay, that is done. So now, so when you go to any other transaction code, you will say like something is not assigned, something is required, something is not assigned. You will see the authorizations related errors. Whatever the transaction codes you access, you will see the authorization check is failed because authorization object, authorization object is missing. Authorization object is missing here. Object is missing here. So you can find out one way which authorization object is for which transaction code. For this transaction codes, what are the authorization objects you need to assign? Then if you go to the SU53, you can find out the respective authorization object to the particular transaction code, right? You can got it here, right? Otherwise, if you go to the SU25 or 24, no, not SU25, 22 or everything. Here we can find out the authorization object related to the transaction code. Suppose you required ST22. Then for this one, what is the authorization object here? You will find out the authorization object for the SU20. This is the authorization object, right? So this authorization object, right? This authorization object. So go to the PFCG, then go to the this role, whatever the role you created, go to the authorization. Here now, if you use the ST22, you are unable to access the, you are not authorized to use. You are getting the error. So now what I'm go to the change authorization data for SU222 related authorization object. This is the one. Then this one you are manually assigned. Then just click on the pencil button. You need what level of access you required here. So here you can get the, so all the transaction codes access. SM21, SM02. Then what you required here? Then you need access to the ST22S, right? So ST22, ST13. Then what transaction code? So you assigned all the things to here. Then save it. Then generate it. Go back, right? So save it here. Then you have assigned this one. So now go to ST22 here, right? Again, you are getting, which means you need to just log out and log in back here. Log out and log in here. Just you have to re-log in after assigning the all the things here, right? So then,
Uh, Can we not refresh the user context here so that user doesn't have to log out and log back?
yeah, that is fine. But after re-login only, sometimes user can able to access the, so the related things here. Otherwise, he cannot able to access the related things here. Once he re-log in, then only he can able to access. So you
Oh,
can see he is able to access now SM21. SM21 he can able to access here now. So this authorization object will give you the permission to the that related transaction code or related report or whatever thing. If you give the full permission, click on the save button. So at a time you are assigning everything to the users here, right? So that is also profile created. So then above them. So then you can able to access the related things here. Still, if the users are facing, then when you go to the SU53, that is for the to finding out the respective authorization object which is missing. So there is a S underscore develop. Then again, we have to go to the here manually, then edit. So then we have to manually S underscore develop. So this authorization object is missing. Then again, you need to add the, so what package, what related things here. You did that package related thing. You need only display access. Yes. So then what package? Any package, that is fine. Star. Star means all. So then what object? So no any full objects here. So what object type? Any full development related thing here, right? What program, what authorizations group and everything, all. So you assign it, save it, generate it, then go back, then save it, right? So then when you go to again, when you try to access, ask user to access it here. When you try to access the user, now he is able to access the ST22 dump. Why? Because you assigned this one. Then he is able to access now ST22 dumps, something he is able to access here, right? So, but if you ask him to access the STMS, he is unable to access STMS because he is not authorized. Then you need to find out what is the STMS related authorization object. Otherwise, you will find out in the SU53. If you go to the SU53, you will find out the STMS related authorization object is S underscore T code. S underscore T code. Then again, you need to go to the PFCZ, either in the same role, you need to assign the S underscore T code. Just go to the here, again add manually, then S underscore T code. So then in the S underscore T code, what transaction codes you require the access here. So S underscore T code, what transaction code you require the access. Suppose like example, STMS, you require the full authorization. So no, if you enter the full, that will come. So STMS. Then what is that? So next ST02. You require the authorizations. Then you can manage, save it, generate, go back, save it. Okay, authorizations, you saved it. So now you can ask user to use it here, S underscore T code object here. So STMS, so something is missing. Again, something is missing. Then you need to find out, or you need to ask him to re-log in. So that kind of things, ST02, yeah, ST02 is able to access now, right? So like that, you need to ask user to perform the user to security will work on it during the creation time itself. He will perform it. Then there is some other things are missing here. You can see some other things are missing here. So like that, authorization objects in SU53, you will find out what is missing here. Otherwise, if you go to the SU22, 24, SC22 and 24, you can find out the, based upon the transaction code, you will find out the respective authorization object. It's in the system, you can find out here. If you go to SU24, here also we can find out. So STMS related, what is the authorization object here, right? You can find out here. Otherwise, ST22, SU22 also, you can find out what is the authorization object for STMS transaction code here. Why STMS is not. So there is STMS. This is the authorization object. These all are the authorization object, but based upon the what level permission you required. So these and all the things we have to assign. These and all the things we have to assign to the particular authorization object. Then you need to assign this one, right? So this is the way you need to find out the authorization objects for authorization object for the respective transaction code here. So if you create the only user, if you create only user, then you cannot able to access anything in the system. You need respective roles also should be created. The role creation and all, PFCZ, we have to do that one. So manually we have to create the PFCZ, we have to create the roles creation and everything we have to perform it here. Then we need to assign the authorization object as well here, right? That is the single roles. Composite roles means there are the types of roles also here. Single role, composite roles, right? And derived role as well here, derived roles. So composite, so derived, so composite roles and derived roles. Composite means collection of all the single roles are called the composite roles. Means all the multiple roles we can club it, we can assign in all the multiple roles. Collection of all the multiple roles we can create. That role is called the composite role here, right? Collection of roles are called the composite role. Collection of the all the single roles that grouped into the single menu, that is called the composite role. Suppose one user we have to assign the 10 roles we have to assign. Then you can create the one composite role. The 10 roles you can assign to the one user, then you can able to access the trend related things. Right? So there is a composite roles. These are the composite roles here. Right? So what about the derived roles? Derived. It's derived from the master here. So derived role here. There are the types of roles here. Right? But all we have to create from in the PFCG only, pre-FCG only. Derived role means child role here. That role that is created are derived from the master role here. So it inherits the authorizations and permissions of the master or parent role here. Additional roles, derived roles means additional roles. The mainly single role and this is the composite roles we have here, right? PFCG, normally you will not get chance to create the roles, even users. In case of, so in some organization, low priority, suppose they don't have the security, so that time, so they will use the basis team to create the authorizations and everything. That time we should know about this. So minimum things we should know. How to unlock, how to reset the passwords, how to lock the users, how to unlock the users. If you lock the user, you cannot able to log in. If you reset the password, if you delete the user, so these things will have to do it from the SU01. Sir, one user only can be possible, right? I want bulk users. So there the bulk users are onboarded today in my organization. I want to assign all the roles to the users here. Then here you can create the bulk users here. Bulk users like user 01. There are the multiple users. SU10 is the transaction code. You can create the bulk users here. SU10 is the transaction code. You can create the bulk users. In how many number of users we can create it one single shot. Okay, so there are the number of users. Just click on the create button. All users will be created. So then passwords also will be generated here. You want to set default roles, then default roles also will be assigned here. Just click on this OK button. Then all the 10 users are created. Their password also set. Default password also set here. You can see user 1, this is the password. User 2, this is the password. User 3, this is the password. Default password system generated also. Password got generated here, right? So bulk users. So you want to change the some validity of the users, right? You can also do user group, user validity. That is also possible here, right? If you want to log the all the users here, right? We want to log the all the users here. Then if you want to reset the password for all the users, we want to reset the all the users password, you want to deactivate. Then click on the OK button, password has been changed. Now user cannot log into the systems. So like that bulk users, we can do the changes in SU10, right? SU10. So suppose if you want to lock the users, EW Z5 is the transaction code. You can lock the bulk users from SAP, right? You can just so select the users here, right? Just click on the save, then click on the lock the users, then all users will be locked. All users will be locked status here, including the basis user also will be locked. If you want to lock the all the users, then you can lock the users here. You can lock the users from EW Z5 transaction code here, right? So that is possible. If you want to unlock, then same EW Z5, then unlock the users, unlocking, lock the users, locking. So this kind of things we can perform it here. We can perform it in the systems here. That's possible here. Okay. So that is the locking and unlocking here. That is possible here. Otherwise, in a SU10 itself, SU10 itself, we can find out the, so we can we can grab the all the users here. There is a, okay. So we can get the users valid, invalid users, what type of users you want to lock it. Just type it here without password, without password. So list format, users, execute. Then all users will be displayed here. In the all users, what are the users here which are not in use, which are in the useful, which are in the use here, which users are in use, which users are not in use. That will give you the information here. So where is the SAP basis star here? Then select the users here. Then transfer the users here, selected users here. Then we have all the users here available here, right? Then click on the, so lock, right? All users are logged. All users are locked now here. So when you go to here, suppose like basis 10, if you go to the SU01 to check the status here. So service user. So here, if you go to the basis 10, this user got locked. See, this user is locked status here. So user cannot log into the systems here, right? So SU10 also we can use it to find out the locked, or we can lock the users, we can unlock the users, all the information here, right? So that is the one thing here. So one more thing here, there is a SUIM is the transaction code. Here we can find out the user information. You need a list of all the users by address data. Then double click it, all users will be displayed with their address data and everything here, right? So suppose you need some by last logon date, how many users are logged in last logon date here. You will find out the when was the last logon date of the user. So these are the AAPB, so a DDIC basis, these all are the last logon. This user is logged in the 809. The remaining others are not in use, not in use here. Administrator lock user here, right? So you can see when was the last login, when was the password reset is done, all the information here, right? So then it kind of some which user has the critical authorizations in your SAP system. So you can provide the critical authorizations here, right? Roles, then profiles, authorizations here, transactions. Suppose, so which user as the, suppose like basis 10, how many transactions he can able to access. See here, he can able to access the this transaction codes here. Suppose what about the basis user? How many transaction codes he can able to access? So lakhs, because basis user is the super user. So we given the super user roles and everything. That's why we can able to access the all the transaction codes and everything in the systems. So that's what it will happen in the systems here. So that's what it will happen in the systems here like this. So it is pulling the data, right? So like this, we can check in the SUIM, we can some auditing related. So some information user related things we can check it out. SU01 user creations, lock, unlock, password reset, all kind of things we can perform it in the SU10 here. So EWZ5 locking or SU10 also we can use it. PFCG is for the profile. PFCG is for the roles creations and everything we can do it PFCG. So these are the small security concepts. Security concepts here. So like that we have it's not like full security. There is a GRC security. There are a lot of HR security. So then there is a BPC security. There are a lot of security functions are there here, Fiori security and everything. So in that, which we discussed is the R3 security. In the R3 system, so We have discussed these things. But GRC security, those are the high level security concepts here. High level security concepts here. Those things I think we don't require because there is a separate security team. So those people they will take care of. At least you should be aware of about like R3 security part and everything here. R3 level. So how to perform the users creations roles and everything here. So from now onwards, you can create your own user in SE01, create the user, then you can assign the profiles roles to the user, then you can able to access it related transaction codes in the systems. Related transaction codes in the systems you can able to access. So suppose if you assign this profile to the user SAP underscore all, then this is a super user role. So you can able to access anything in the SAP systems, SAP underscore all and SAP underscore new. These two are the super role functionalities here. You can able to access the all the data and everything here. So that's the reason basis has the this authorizations here. If you see here basis role, so basis has the this profiles SAP underscore all, SAP underscore new. That is the reason you are able to access the any transaction codes in the systems because of these roles. Yes, please. You are having some doubt.
No, no, I don't have a doubt. So if we go into like user display,
Okay.
I just have a question there. Like there are different tabs like parameter tab and there is personalization tab. Uh, what are those and how would we do the segregate SOD runs? I mean, is it
Where
part of security or what?
this one, personalization.
Personalization and parameters. Oh,
So parameters. So these parameters will come actually based upon the your role assignment. So this will be generated automatically based upon the roles which you are assigning to this user. So those parameters will come automatically. So personalization is a different thing. Normally we won't assign these things. Only we license is different. License also different is the contract ID. There's some different types of licenses. The main thing is here address field, logon data, and roles. These three tabs normally security team used to assign to the users here. So remaining and all these parameters will come automatically. We have to assign it. Some segregate parameters tab means user related parameters, user specific related parameters.
so for the licensing data, like we have like technical user, we have the SMEs, and we have business
So
users, and then so the
yeah,
licensing
depend.
cost for each is different.
License is different from here. So some users,
I
some
think this is
contract.
for the how we pay to SAP, this license data here.
Yeah, because of that one, and there is a one transaction code using the transaction code system measurement and user licensing data. So not only here just this is the based upon that one only, but there is a one transaction code where we can calculate the user licensing part and editing. So auditing user licensing. Based on that, we have to pay for SAP here, auditing related things. So that is called there is one transaction code actually. So there is a yes SCP. There is one transaction code. There we have to check this licensing part and everything. Means that will be there we have to generate the system measurements and everything. Then we need to send the report to the users. Sorry, SAP. Then based on that we have to do that one here. That licensing. That is a different concept. Forget the transaction codes here.
Yeah, it says S-law,
Yes, lock.
S-law, SLAW.
Yes, L-A-double-S lock. It's replaced as L1 replaced by law 2. Law 2. S law 2. Okay. Yes. W.
The other one is USMM. US,
Ah, yes. USMM transaction code. Right. Yeah. This is the one. He can do the measurement, system measurement, user classifications, and everything here. So this is the what. So here, based on this one, based upon the system usage, so we can license will be calculated this based upon this one USMM transaction code here. So based on this, so based upon the this measurements, so the this will be calculated here. This will be calculated. They are separate. So we have to generate and we have to send it. The auditors and whoever there. So we have to based upon this one, we have to generate this one, we have to send to them. So this is the yes, USMM transaction code. Here we have the types information, what they are doing in systems and all the information based on that. So the calculations will happen from SAP, but
I
we
think
don't.
business has that data as to what user types license they have. So they ask,
Yes,
then they ask you to click those three
yeah, they
user
will ask us to,
five type of.
yeah, they will ask us to generate the data and send to them, and they will take care of that part here, USMM transaction code.
How do you clone an existing user then? I think that would be the faster way to just create users, right?
Yeah,
If you
fast way to copy the users, just to copy the users. There is an option, go to SU, there is a PDF card generated. Users created, how many users typed based upon the status of the jobs and everything. Users, types of user, automatically excluded users, technical users. Okay. So then, okay. Yeah, that's possible. Cloning the users, that what we have to do for them. We have to suppose instead of doing all these things, I need copy of the user. Just to go to the SE01, you are going to create the basis 11 user. So then just to create a copy option. Just you can copy, provide the from user, existing user to here. Then simple, just generate the password, initial password, save it. So invalid time zone. Okay. So time zone. See, this is created. So simple. So copy the users. We want to lock the user, we can lock it. So we want to reset the password, you can reset the password. Sometimes user will be locked. So you can log into the other user. Then we can reset the password of user. You can unlock and lock it here. That's possible. We can do that one.
okay, thank you.
So apart from that, so we have to discuss about the